London Bromley were undefeated at home in the top 4 divisions in England prior to tonight, so that kind of underlines how big a result it is for Liverpool to win up at the Stadium of Light. It's interesting, the idea that Liverpool could clinch a Champions League spot courtesy of goal difference, courtesy of that goal that was disallowed against City. I can't decide whose head would fall off most if that was to happen. Some of the things that kind of came up through the discussion, what I thought was the way we sort of saw a game out, Curtis Jones coming on for that last part of the match, the work rate, the effort, the desire to press, I thought that made a big impact on what you want to see from guys coming off in the bench in those closing stages. Yeah, and in such a game like that, you're looking for you are looking for what you call your finishers to come on and be that guide, or be them people that can come and give you a lift, drive you on, because you've been under the cosh for maybe large parts of that second half. To have someone not like him who can to dictate the control of the game, the tempo of it, the pace of it, fine passes, some of his touches around corners, his final passing tonight is exquisite, but that's the player that he is. He can come on and he can change games, and we've seen that in moments this season, but probably for him he'd probably be a little bit frustrated that he hasn't brought it more to the table. But listen, Curtis Jones is a fantastic player, and for someone like Liverpool to have someone like him to come on and finish off games, he's an unbelievable player at that level.
Yeah, I thought it was good. I think there would have been a plan tonight to give Joe about 20 minutes. It's sad how it worked out with Endo, but Endo played so well, and we were all worried. He's getting picked ahead of sort of Joe Gomez and sort of Curtis to play at that right back, but he always gives a good performance. Wataru, he is always there. You know what you're going to get from him. You don't worry about him being committed. But it's a shame that happened. But Joe coming on, Joe had a really good cameo there, which gave us solidity in those vital moments. And it was on. You're saying we were under pressure. Under pressure because it was the long balls. They had a lot of possession but going nowhere. The only one was when Robbie had the ball at his feet, really, that you looked as though we were worried. But the rest of them, it was, we dealt better with the set plays and the long balls tonight. I thought it gave us a confidence to build on.
It kind of epitomised the way that Wataru goes about things, that he's done his ankle, it looks quite serious, but he stood up, battled on one leg to defend the corner, and then went down to get the treatment he really did need. Other players maybe wouldn't have done that. Kind of puts himself on the line. You kind of feel sorry for him because he had come in playing out of position and he'd won all his duels. He'd really competed through the course of the time he was on the field. Yeah,
listen, I called him on commentary a warrior, and that's probably what he's been for me since he's come in. I think he's about standing there you go, look, a legend is saying that he loves him, but I think it's not just him, but I think it's the fans. They love everything that he brings. He gives 150% every time he plays. He battles, he works hard, he'll play anywhere for the team. He's one of them people around the changing room that you love.
But he's got a bit of quality.
But he's listen, the quality, don't take that away from him.
On the ball, he's the captain of his national team, so
people questioned the price tag as well, didn't they? People questioned what we brought in. Everyone questioned, why have we spent that on someone like Wataru Endo? But he's been his weight in gold. He's probably worth a hell of a lot more than that to Liverpool fans and Liverpool players now for what he's done. And it shows, like you say, it epitomises what he is. He could have, fingers crossed, it's not a bad injury, but it didn't look too great. Yeah. But he's willing, he wants to stay on, he wants to defend the set piece in the corner, and until that ball's gone out, that's when he goes down and obviously recovers the treatment. So, yeah, fingers crossed it's not too well, but what an unbelievable player he's been since he's been here.
I'll bring the guys back in and get their thoughts on that, perhaps. Just a second Premier League start for Wataru under Arne Slot. Is that one word that some supporters maybe look at and said he could have been used a little bit more at times to kind of give others minutes and maybe be used for certain games where you need that little bit of cover in midfield, or your understanding of why he's played more of a support role through the course of the campaign?
I think he was bought for a support role even by Jurgen, so I think, as fans we can definitely have our input on who should be getting more minutes, but at the same time we don't have that context of, number one, what's happening on the training field, and number two, there's also that in context as well, where people are going to be more fit towards the end of the season if you haven't run them ragged earlier in the season as well. So yeah, I'd love to have seen Endo get more minutes before this injury, but I think at the end of the day, we do have elves. It's unfortunate because he's never let us down. The one place I do think we should have played him more is to tighten up games. So over the weekend, there was a lot of this news reporting about how many points Liverpool have dropped after the 80th and 90th minute. And I think that there is a stat, Joel might know it, that just really talks about how Endo comes on and shows things out. I think that's been a really big missed opportunity for us.
But I'm going to give Joel his chance to either sink or swim here. Joel, do you know the stat?
No. My defence is it's 25-2 in the morning here where I am. So, but as is right, last season Endo came on quite a lot when we were shutting games down and when Leeds were narrow. So it did feel like a lot last season. So I mean, I can quickly go on to various websites now to try and find out, but I'm just going to say he's right. and park it there.
Okay, we'll let you off the hook. You got out of that well. Yeah, he was the closer. That was he was kind of referred to, wasn't it? Because there were so many games where he came on and played a really good role for it. It was kind of 5 minutes plus added time, or whatever it was, and it's not quite worked the same from this season. But then again, we as a team haven't been as effective at closing games out. We've been pretty rotten at closing games out at times, so maybe it's kind of tied in with all of that. It's all been a bit more fluid this campaign than it was settled more last year.
Yeah, I guess so. He was sort of Slot's like settle person, wasn't he? Like, he was the one who'd come on when he was shutting up shop and he was like, we've won this game, let's just see it out, bring on Endo, he's solid, he's going to do really well as a 6. And yeah, that's what he was last season, but obviously we've struggled a lot more this year. So sometimes in games we've been behind and it's just not the time to bring Endo on when you're trying to get a goal, do you know what I mean? So I am gutted to see him pick up that injury though, because he was one of my favourites last season. He really was. I just, the moment you just saw him coming off the bench, you just thought, yeah, we're going to win this game and we're going to finish on a stable note with him there. But I mean, at the end of the day, he's not going to get loads of game time when you've got the likes of Gravenberch playing in his preferred position. He was never going to be a starter. But yeah, he always put in 100%, even like you were saying before about Curtis. They're those players that are great for impact and, absolutely exert all their energy and will do anything on the pitch. And that's what I've wanted to see this season. So I'm absolutely gutted he's picked up that injury. And hopefully at least Curtis, who came on and did really well, he can get a bit more game time. But I'm gutted for Endo picking up that injury, to be honest. But it's not like he was getting used every week. He's not been a starter, has he? But it's still horrible to see someone pick up an injury like that, because he is very useful for Arne.
Yeah, Endo, one of those players who's a bit of a cult figure with supporters, someone who's just liked, even though they don't necessarily play a lot. What you really hope, though, is he's fit.
It's Chiesa as well, isn't it? Chiesa's in a similar sort of mould to Endo, where you look at him and you go, people say, why is he not getting more starts? But you feel like there's always something. When he has had starts, he's never really functioned as he does in the last 20 minutes. His last 20 minutes, he comes on, he's got plenty of energy. Yes, he can run forward, as we've seen it tonight. He was ideal for this game, to see this game out. Curtis, not decrying them not being great players and not being great starters, but it needs must from those players. And Curtis done his role, Joe done his role, Chiesa, Federico done his role to sort of see the game through, and that is what we've not been doing, is game management, seeing games through when it was very, very tight.
What you hope is that the injury isn't serious, both from Liverpool's point of view, also from his point of view. He's hoping to go to the World Cup and captain his nation, Japan. The last thing you want to see is him miss the lead into that or miss the tournament. We wait for an update, of course, in due course. I just wondered, Jay, you're looking at the bench tonight, it was quite light. It's been light in recent weeks. A lot of the young boys who are very talented but still inexperienced in there. Do you have a little bit of a worry that with the workload we've got coming up, with the need to win, then the lack of wriggle room we're going to have in the fixtures, basically need to win them all, we might be light of bodies? Or is it a case that if we get guys back, we'll have enough?